All right, so we had an amazing main event. Hill versus Waterston delivered on all fronts. A little bit further down the card, though, we had one of the weirdest and I'm tempted to say the biggest robbery in MMA history when Ed Herman Ed Herman ended up with a third round Kimura submission over Mike Rodriguez, but only after being dropped in the second round. Ref Chris Tognoni stopping, thinking it was a groin strike. Replay showing it clearly wasn't a groin strike, and Herman gets the full 5 minutes, survives the round, and then comes back in round 3 with the submission. What are your thoughts on this? Is it the biggest robbery in MMA history?
I mean, it's high up there. It is high up there. Like, there's judging decisions that considered robberies that are really, really egregious. One that immediately comes to mind without really having thought about it that much was when Fabio Maldonado beat Fedor Emelianenko in Fedor's own promotion, essentially. And they were like, no, we're going to give this to Fedor. But in terms of like a referee intervening in a fight, this is definitely up there. It's probably right up there with the Jon Jones, Matt Hamill type thing. But that was a foul that Steve Mazzagatti just said, nah, you're not getting a warning. I'm just calling this off right now. Excuse me. But in terms of this is definitely one of like the clearest case where a ref stepped in thinking a foul happened and it didn't happen. And if he didn't step in, the fight would have been over because he was clearly hurt from a knee to the chest, a clear knee to the chest, and he folded over against the cage. And, a couple of follow-up punches later, the ref would normally stop that fight. Even if follow-up punches were allowed, some refs wouldn't have allowed it because of the way Ed Herman just kind of folded over. But gave him the 5 minutes, the round is over, comes back out. And as a matter of fact, as I was live tweeting the event in the third round, I had a tweet pre-typed out, because Rodriguez started pouring it on again in the third round, pouring it on, had Herman kind of covering up a couple times. I had a tweet typed out saying, Mike, congrats to Mike Rodriguez for finishing Ed Herman twice. And then for whatever reason, when he gets to the mat, he just decides to kind of pause action and then gets caught in a Kimura, which, look, good on Ed Herman for, I guess, finding a way to finish that fight when you're clearly down and clearly almost out. But that should have never happened. I would like to know what you were thinking as you saw that whole thing unfold.
So what I was thinking during this fight is, similar to you, I had a tweet queued up about how Herman didn't need to take this extra damage and that Rodriguez was going to get another finish him twice in one night, a la Jorge Masvidal versus Donald Cerrone. But, the other thing was, and I was trying to look this up during the fight, was that can you use instant replay in this case and it doesn't cause a fight-ending sequence? The commentator said that it would, but Big John McCarthy on Twitter said that Nevada had adopted some rules in which that was not the case. So I would trust John McCarthy here, and if that's true, then Chris Tognoni should have for sure gone to the replay to double check, because at a minimum, you probably could have waved it off as a TKO at that point, but at a minimum, you would have made Herman get right back into the fight and don't give him the full 5 minutes. Don't give him a full chance to recover so Rodriguez has a chance to go for the fight finish sequence. Because I truly believe if even just a couple minutes, it took Herman a while to get up. And even if, he had just had a couple minutes less of recovery, Rodriguez might have been able to get it done in round 2. And a lot of people are also hating on Herman for this, saying he's acting it up and all of that. But you get half of your fight purse for winning. So if I'm Ed Herman, I'm going to take the full 5 minutes. I'm going to try and recover, and I'm going to try and win. You can't. Even Dana White, who ripped this as a Mazzagatti level blunder in the post-fight press conference, said he didn't blame Ed Herman because that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to go out there and get a win. And if I was in the cage and I could lose half my money, if I said, oh no, he hit me in the body and I'm done, probably not going to do that. So I don't know. I feel bad for Mike Rodriguez. I'm happy the promotion paid him in full, but it's I can't imagine this doesn't get turned over.
Right. Yeah, that's the main thing. There's a couple of things I want to touch on there. So I'll look at this from Ed Herman's perspective, like you were saying, right? He had 5 fights fall out on him this year. for various reasons. So did he need that second paycheck? Probably. So if you got that, if you've got that win bonus on the line and you really need to go out there and secure a win, sure. I mean, here's the thing though. So if you're going to go with, you're going to take that full 5 minutes, like you got need in the nuts, right? And you're going to continue when the ref says continue. All right, you took a low blow. That's what everybody believes happens. If they didn't see the replay, that is. But they believe you take. That's the story we're painting here. You took a low blow. You took your full 5 minutes. You continue fighting. You find a way to win it in the third round. Cool. The problem I have is in your post-fight interview immediately after the fact, you say you don't know where you got hit. No, sir. You will continue to sell us the story that you got hit in the groin. That is what you told us when you were fighting back there. So that's what you should be telling us right now on the microphone. Keep the lie going. For you to say that you don't know where you got hit is just ridiculous. There has never been in the history of man that you don't know when you get hit in the nuts. That's just one of the most ridiculous things to even try to lie about, right? So just if you're going to lie about it, in the fight, lie about it when you get on the mic. Just keep it going. Just keep it going. Yeah, he caught me low. Oh, the replay doesn't show it clearly? Yeah, I felt like I got hit low. That's how you got to do it. But another angle that I want to touch on that you mentioned was about the athletic commission and the replay thing, right? So it's interesting to me that once you go to a replay, you can't continue the fight. In the instance like John McCarthy was saying that there is some provision where that happens. That should be across the board. If you have the equipment cage side where you can immediately show a replay to an official cage side or to a ref, why can you not continue the fight after looking at a replay? If you're going to give us 5 minutes of break for a low blow and an inadvertent foul, why can't you take 3 minutes to look at a screen and then come back and make a decision on whether the fight should continue or not? I don't understand why it's like, hey, if we go look at this screen, the fight's done. That's it. I don't understand why that is a thing. Doesn't make very much sense to me. And I mean, we're talking about MMA here where we can't agree on a unified set of rules across the board anywhere. But so I don't know what I'm really expecting here, but I mean, I guess a little common sense would be nice. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. To me, it's ridiculous that we can't, especially in an MMA fight where they have so many camera angles and they have the ability to do instant replay and focus on, right? This isn't a football game or a basketball game where there could be a lot of stuff going on and you might not have the clearest angle and then it's hard to see what's going on, what happened. Generally in MMA, you can see pretty much every angle you need to determine if there was a foul or not. So right. Why they have this rule that's, if you go to a replay, the fight sequence stops. What? Why? Like, I can't for the life of me understand why they don't just have a replay that is you could have called by the referee if he deems necessary to check on that stuff. It seems, it seems as antiquated as the fact that we have two different rule sets in MMA that are still currently being used. And I think that's just the commissions and the oversight that needs a huge overhaul. But as long as we have the current structure where commissions are in charge of everything and you have the politics within commissions, stuff like that is going to be, hard to get through. I know even things I've spoken with Adam Rohrbach at the Kansas Athletic Commission about open scoring that Invicta does and trying to get that, moved up to the major promotions. And that's, a labor of love of his and the commission where they've been really trying to sell that. The obstacles that are in place to stop what seem like common sense things from being put into MMA is mind-boggling. And yeah, this is a perfect example of why you should have replay ability at the ref's discretion.
100%, man. I couldn't agree more. And I get that some of these rules may be in place for like smaller promotions that can't afford all of this equipment, but there's nothing wrong with having a different set, not necessarily a different set of rules, but have a provision in the rule. If you have the production equipment available, this is the rule. So I don't type it out that way, put that in print, make that happen. It just doesn't make sense to me that you can't say like, hey, instant replay time. Okay, fight's over. It's just, come on. Like It's the year 2020. Why can we not look at a replay and get right back to it, man? We pause fights for low blows, eye pokes, doctor cuts, things like that, and then fights continue. I don't understand why, if you pause it for a replay, it's got to be the end. Just doesn't make very much sense to me.
Nope, makes no sense at all. And I wouldn't be surprised if you also don't feel some pressure from sports books, because I'm sure that was a fiasco for them that I don't know how they're going to deal with going forward. Because this is almost certainly going to be overturned to a no contest, but I would imagine they have to keep it correct as is right now. So
we'll
see what happens with all that.
Yeah, if you had an Ed Herman ticket, you better cash that money out of whatever website you may be betting on, because they're gonna take it back. But along those same lines, like you said, like we're talking about win bonuses and everything. Mike Rodriguez lost out on his half of his money, but Dana White stepped up, was like, no, he won the fight, we're giving him his money. And that brings up a whole nother set of questions, or a whole nother argument that we talk about all the time, is the 50-50 contracts, the 50-50 deals, fighter pay in general, because Dana can say, you know what? Yeah, we're going to pay you more here. Okay, why don't you pay guys more all the time, Dana? It's just one of those things that we can go into a whole nother can of worms. But I will say good on Dana in this instance for recognizing the egregiousness that was this error here by Chris Tognoni, and stepping up and paying Mike Rodriguez his money, because he did what he had to do. He finished an opponent, and the ref saw it otherwise for, whatever reason.
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine if Herman had broken Rodriguez's arm or something crazy too? I mean, that was the whole sequence is just a giant train wreck. Great job by Dana White and the UFC for paying Rodriguez, for not blaming Herman and saying, whatever, you went out there doing your job. And putting the blame on Tognoni, which, I mean, as a ref, you're going to make mistakes. This, unfortunately, is a big one on his part. And I guess a perfect way to wrap this up is he going to get the Mazzagatti treatment? Are we going to see him in the UFC octagon anytime soon, or is he going to get kicked out and blacklisted?
I mean, yeah, probably. I don't know. The Steve Mazzagatti thing was just so bad, because it was Jon Jones, Matt Hamill. Jon Jones lands one elbow and gets disqualified. Whereas today, by today's standards, I don't know if today's standards is actually part of that thing where you get seemingly 3 fouls before a point's taken. I don't know. Maybe that's part of the reason. I don't want to be the next Steve Mazzagatti. Hey, watch those low blows, watch those fingers, But Chris Tognoni, man, he's usually solid. He usually doesn't make these types of mistakes. He's never made a mistake like this before either. So we'll see. But I guarantee you, a lot of people are going to be watching his fights a lot closer.
Yeah. I imagine. I think he'll get another shot. I don't know that he'll be back in the cage for the UFC anytime soon, but I think they'll give him another shot. I don't think this is a Yamasaki Mazzagatti situation where he kind of gets that promotional ban, so to speak. I think he'll be back in the cage, but I agree that he's going to be very cautious. I think he'll be overly cautious in some cases moving forward, because this is a big one. And, if you get to the level where you're allowed to ref major promotional fights, that's a long, arduous, trek to get to that place anyway. So something like this could totally derail it and then never get you back in. So I think he'll get another shot, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
For sure. I think he deserves another shot. Yeah, but short leash, very short leash. You're on thin ice there, Chris Tognoni. We're watching.